Hi everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to be filming my first review, which is very exciting. I'm going to be looking at Dollmaker by Nina Allan. I was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this book from the publisher in exchange for an honest review. So let's get to it. In this book, Andrew Garvey is a dwarf and a doll maker living in London. He begins a pen-pal relationship with a woman named Bramber when one of them puts a personal ad in a doll collector's magazine. He decides to travel across the UK to rescue her from the psychiatric hospital in which she lives without telling her about it. On the way, Andrew passes the time by reading a book of short stories by a woman named Chaplin. I'm not sure how you're supposed to say that. Which he picked up because Bramber mentioned that she was her favorite writer. Okay, so that's the story. Let's get to the review. In general, this was quite a dark story and I think it had a bit of a gothic vibe working for it. It definitely has some fantasy-ish elements, but it's unclear whether it's actually a fantasy or if our protagonist is just going mad. It took me a while to get into it for reasons that I'll get into, but I did feel myself warming up to it more that I read. Okay, we need to talk about the structure. The structure for this book was really interesting. It interspersed a lot of short stories with letters written from Bramber with an account of what was happening with Andrew. The story of Andrew and his journey to meet with Bramber acts as a kind of frame narrative within which he reads these short stories. I thought this element had both pros and cons to it, so let's start with the cons. On the one hand, I felt that Andrew's story was dragged out significantly to accommodate for these short stories, but his storyline wasn't very compelling. I can't say I felt invested in his character, and to be honest, I kind of just wanted him to arrive at his destination so that I could find out what happened. I hate to use the word boring in a review, so I won't, but I did like the idea behind the unusual structure, but I think in this case it fell a bit short. I just couldn't connect with it. On the other hand, I did enjoy the short stories. They were dark and super creepy. There was no predictability to them and no cliche fairy tale-esque ending. Though at one time I did find the relationship between the stories and reality really confusing. I think I was supposed to, but still. Are the stories based on reality or are they fiction? I don't know. There seem to be a lot of recurring themes that are coincidentally, very coincidentally, relevant to Andrew's story. But we also don't know how or why. At least I don't. Dwarfism, child prodigies, hand problems. I felt like these things must have kept coming up for some reason and I wanted to know what it was, but I still don't get it. And should I get it? Am I supposed to be feeling like this? Is this what you wanted, Nina? If you read the book and you figured this out, please let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to know. To be fair though, I don't think it's just me. I think Andrew himself didn't have a very firm grip on reality. For example, he travels across the UK to liberate a woman who he considers himself to be in a relationship with, but has never met. That's all very real to him. Also, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but some weird stuff starts happening to him. He doesn't even question it. Is that real? Or is he just going mad? I don't know, but he thinks it is. I guess that's what you get when you have an unreliable narrator. But yeah, in general, the short stories were a lot more interesting to me than the story of the protagonists, which is a little bit worrying, I think. Something I do like about this book though is that it really makes you think. I'm still thinking. Overall, I gave this book 3 stars. I think it's interesting. I do think it's quite clever in places. I can imagine it appealing very strongly to a particular kind of audience. I just don't think that's me. I can appreciate the stronger elements of it, but it's definitely not perfect and probably not one I'll read again. Okay, so that's all from me today, but thank you for listening to my review. Please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more content like this. I'm a very new booktuber, so I love the support. I hope you have a beautiful day and I'll see you next time.